The great thing about the monolith technique is by having a protocol that we follow for recording and editing means we can get computers to do a lot of the legwork for us when it comes to building the instruments. In the making of the GIMP video, I showed you how I had automated the building of Kontakt instruments using Native Instruments creator tools. Having codified the monolith, I wanted to see if I could automate the creation of instrument templates for other sample engines. The first I looked at was the FSZ format, which is an open source file format that can describe how files can play back in a sampler. There are a range of samplers that can play back SFZ format, one of the most popular ones being Sforzando, which is completely free and works on Mac and PC. So, just as we have with the Kontakt version, I've created a simple Lua script that will automatically generate an SFZ file that can be loaded into Sforzando. As you can see, it's quite a lot of text in this file, so I'm glad I didn't have to type it all in. In fact, this is really one of the drawbacks of SFZ compared to Kontakt or Logic Sampler. It's not as easy to work with as a virtual instrument developer, and there'll be a lot of work to try to build something that did sophisticated things like tempo mapping, crossfades, and other things that you find in high-end libraries. However, for our purposes, it works nicely. Got some basic controls to allow you to control the notes, the release triggers, the pedal volumes, and it plays pretty well. In addition to SFZ, there was another format I wanted to try, and that's where I got in touch with Dave to find out what I could do with something he's been working on. So, just like the script to create an SFZ file, here's one that automatically creates a file for Decent Sampler. I'll leave Dave to explain some more.
So what is Decent Sampler? Basically, it's a free sampling plugin that I've been working on for the better part of 6 months at this point. So a long time ago, about a year ago, I was on the Pianobook forum. Not this one, but the one from before the site got redesigned. And I saw that somebody was complaining that there's no free sample plugin for people who just want to make basic multi-samples and share them and maybe make a nice little skinnable UI. That resonated with me pretty strongly. I've often felt that. And it caused me to utter what are possibly the most dangerous words in the English language, which are, of course, how hard could it be? The answer in this case being pretty hard, actually. Anyway, 6 months later, I had the first version of the plugin, which is now available for Windows and Mac, VST, Audio Unit. There's even a version for a mobile for iOS, which I think makes it one of the only sample platforms that's available for mobile. Okay, so here's what's going on under the hood. For the time being, presets can be created in any text editor, although I definitely plan on making a sample creation tool at some point. What we're looking at here is the DS preset patch for the GIMP piano that was created by Steven's automated scripts. As you can see, the file format is actually pretty straightforward. It's XML, and it bears more than a passing resemblance to SFZ. I'm currently working on documenting all of the parameters. Once I've done that, I'll make a video about how you can make your own samples. By the way, here's what all that XML actually translates into. Needless to say, it's still early days, and there are definitely more than a few bugs. Still, if you're looking for a free sample plugin, I'd love if you download it and just, give it a spin. If you find a bug, make sure to message me. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about Kontakt. As you may know, Stephen, Angus, and I have been working on a Pianobook piano template for Kontakt for months at this point. The general idea is it should be a template that anyone can use when building a piano instrument. That being said, one of the things that was missing was the support for multiple microphones. A lot of people record their piano with several mics. I'm proud to say that has finally been added. Check it out. So here are the beautiful little microphone sliders. Let's peek behind the scenes. So the new Multimic version of the template is pretty similar to the old one, except for one big difference. The instrument buses are now used for mics. Each mic gets its own instrument bus. That means that the levels of the different sample types are controlled by the script itself. When I say different sample types, I mean pedal up, pedal down, release triggers, that sort of thing. In order for the script to be able to handle those correctly, you actually need to tell it which groups correspond to which sample types. If you download the template, you'll see that there are two scripts, one for the UI and one for the note triggering stuff. At the top of each one, there's a bunch of variables that need to be filled in, this block here. And you simply fill in the group numbers for the different types of samples there. You'll definitely want to read the comments. For example, these arrays are organized by microphone. Remember, this script has support for round robins too, so There are a lot of different dimensions at play here. Assuming everything is mapped correctly, you should end up with a playable piano instrument without having to do any real heavy lifting. So there's one more thing in Kontakt that we wanted to try and tackle, and that was memory management. Something which Stephen actually has some fancy automation tricks up his sleeve for.
One of the drawbacks we had a few people point out with a single file monolith was that it doesn't allow Kontakt to perform some of the optimizations it can do with multiple small files. It needs to load the whole sample file into memory, meaning that for a Multimic monolith you end up using quite a lot of memory, even if you do use Kontakt compression. To solve this problem was, well, more automation. With the exact same algorithm used for creating Kontakt, SFZ and decent sampler formats, I created a script that can chop up a single file into many individual files. Here is the result: hundreds of automatically cut and named files for the 3 microphone positions of the GIMP using a nice naming convention the native instruments developers recommended to us. And just like before, we can automate the creation of a Kontakt instrument using these individual files like this version of the GIMP. There are lots of exciting things we can do with this tech to make different options work for different levels of detailed sampling, right from very simple to these complex Multimic deep sampled instruments. And best of all, we can make it work with a wide range of samplers with little to no effort.